Getting Leila Hormozi as my personal mentor was not something I ever planned. I didn't even pay for it. I didn't go out and chase it, and yet it still happened. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the exact set of steps that led to one of the most valuable relationships of my career. If you've ever wondered how high-level mentors actually come into your life, this is the story. I first got on Layla's radar way back in the day when they were still running Gym Launch. Alex and Layla launched a SaaS product for marketing agencies. And all the way back then, I was a baby COO, no idea what I was doing, trying to scale and run this marketing agency. And that agency ended up becoming one of the very first users of that SaaS product. As part of that product launch, Alex and Layla were offering small group coaching to ensure that the early adopters were getting success with their product, which in and of itself was incredibly lucky. To get to have small group coaching directly with Alex and Layla, no more than 5 to 10 people on the call, getting to ask him all sorts of questions. I mean, you have to pay tens of thousands of dollars for that experience now. And we got it at the time pretty much for free for the cost of the product we were using. And that right there was the first lesson, which is that high-level people are at their most accessible when they are launching or starting something new. When Alex and Layla went to build acquisition.com, Alex was taking the very first sales calls for that product. When Sarah Blakely, another one of my favorite founders, just started her new company, Sneaks, she went and she hand-delivered the very first pair of sneaks to her very first customer's door. So even these high-level people will pour themselves into the projects that they're passionate about, the things that they are launching and starting. And if you can be an early contributor, an early adopter of what it is that they're focused on and what's most important to them, that's when you're gonna be able to get way more personalized access to that person. So that's how I got to work with Alex, but that was still in the context of small group coaching and one-to-many mentorship. And Layla would be on the call, she'd be chiming in, bringing value. And as a COO, I immediately identified that Layla was the hidden superpower behind Alex. Now, we all know that to be true now, but keep in mind, this was before they had a personal brand, before Layla was on YouTube. Just seeing how she showed up to the call, I could tell two things. Number one, that she much more aligned with my superpowers as a COO. At the time, I was also the COO to my CEO/boyfriend. And so I saw in Alex and Layla that power couple, and I saw in Layla that role model who really captured and embodied the skills that I was trying to learn, the career I was trying to build, and the version of a life and a relationship that I was trying to create. Which I think is key point number 2 here, which is that if you're choosing role models or mentors, looking for the people who not only have success and are doing bigger numbers than you are, but actually to look for the people who represent a version of life and a version of success that you want for yourself. Alex is brilliant, but I didn't even bother asking if he would want to be my personal mentor simply because he didn't represent the version of me that I was trying to become. Layla, on the other hand, was this badass female entrepreneur, co-founder, power couple, COO skilled, incredible leader. Learning from her allowed me to step more towards who I was becoming. And I think when she met me, she saw the same thing, which made it way more likely that when it came time to ask if she'd be my mentor, that she would say yes. There are so many things that I learned from Leila Hormozi, but probably the number one most powerful thing was how to build and lead a high-performance team. And since then, I have worked with hundreds of businesses to build out true A-player leadership teams. It's such a common bottleneck that we went ahead and built out what I call your A-player command center. This one tool helps you identify who are the true A players on my team and how do I hold them accountable to the highest levels of performance. This one tool will help you level up your team. It helps you identify who are the right A players that I already have and how do I hold them accountable to the highest levels of performance and productivity, especially at the level of your leadership team. How would it feel if you looked at your leadership team and you knew without a doubt you had the right A players in the right seats, that they were working on the right things every single day to move your business forward without you? And it is such a powerful framework that we actually just give it away for free now. So if you want the A Player Command Center, go ahead, click the link down below, and it's gonna give you everything that you need to immediately start leveling up and leading your A players better so that you can finally delegate the day-to-day to the leadership team you trust and you can step out of the weeds and get back to being the visionary that you need to be. So if you want that, grab it. It's in the description. And I think Alex and Layla are such a perfect capture of this principle, which is that Alex, by having Layla in his corner, having that leader who could take on the day-to-day management of his company, is what allowed him to become an absolute expert in marketing and sales, in building his personal brand, in writing his books and having multi-million-dollar book launches. Having the right leaders in place in the form of Layla and their leadership team is what makes Alex Alex. And I think that's what I saw when I first saw Alex and Layla and how they worked together. So at this point, it had been a couple of months. We'd done some group coaching. I identified that Layla was somebody I really looked up to and I wanted to learn more from. And so one day, I just asked. It's literally that simple. I will never forget. I think the message I sent was, "Hey Layla, what would it take for you to spend some time doing some one-on-one mentoring with me?" And she got back to me and she said, "Jhana, nothing at all. Let's set up a call." Okay, so why did that work? And frankly, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. I was so ready to pay her, become her personal assistant, do whatever was required to get some one-on-one time with Layla. And so I asked, what would it take? I was ready to do anything. And instead of all of that, she ended up spending an hour a month for the next 6 to 12 months sitting with me totally for free doing one-on-one mentorship. Now, do I think that if you sent her that message right now, you would get the same response? No, I don't. And she would probably hate me if I told you that. So please do not send her that message. But here's the principles that I want to extract for the moment when you're ready to make your ask. After a few months of working together, I remember asking Layla, "Hey, why are you doing this? Why did you agree to be my mentor?" And what she told me is, "Jhana, in the months leading up to that, when you were just doing the group coaching, what I saw in you is that every single time I gave you a piece of advice or I gave you an insight, you took it, you executed it, and then you came back and you got the next insight. What I saw in you is somebody who takes action. They don't just learn information. They don't just get the advice. They actually act on it." And as a mentor, that is what I'm looking for. As a mentor, I want to know that this is a person who will actually turn my advice into a transformational result. There are so many people out there who just read books and listen to podcasts, but never take action. And as a mentor, that feels like a waste of time. I'm spending all of this time to pour all of this information into you, and then I don't get the feedback loop that says they took it, they implemented it, they got better, and they're doing it again. As a mentor, I want to know that my advice and my time is going into actually transforming somebody's life. And before I ever mentored you, you proved to me that you were that person. I will never ever forget this because number one, the reason that Layla said yes wasn't to do with what I said or how I asked, and had everything to do with my actions. I had the opportunity to prove to her who I was as a human before I went in with any kind of ask. And when she took a bet on me to make me her mentee, it wasn't because she was making a bet on me, because she had seen how I had already showed up. There's one final key ingredient for success here, which is that this happened years ago. This was before Alex and Layla have the personal brands that they do today and that they have the level of success that they do today. Again, if you DM'd Layla my exact message right now, she probably wouldn't even read it, let alone respond. And I think the lesson there is that I got access to this incredible person when she was just a few steps ahead of me in the journey. She was not as big of a deal. Her time was not as valuable as it was today. And more importantly, she had just learned all of the skills and all of the leadership that I wanted to learn and receive from her. I think we make this mistake when it comes to mentors, that we look for the person who's like 1,000 steps ahead of us. We look for the biggest name with the most level of success. But the challenge with that is number one, those people are way harder to get access to and get in front of. Their time is way more valuable, so you better be ready to pay a lot of money if you want that mentorship. And I actually believe that that mentorship is less relevant. They're so far ahead of you that the things you're working on, the things that you're trying to learn, is like ancient history for them. They actually forget what it was like to be where you are because it was so long ago. Versus Layla was exactly where I was just a couple years ago. She knew exactly what I was struggling with. She knew exactly the skills and the lessons that she had to learn to grow and level up through the exact challenges I was experiencing. And so the advice that she gave me was perfectly relevant. It was so actionable. It was the perfect match for what I needed to hear because I was her. from just a couple years ago. And so she could help me understand exactly what I needed in order to access the next level. And so to me, the lesson is when you go to find that mentor, find the person who represents a version of you that you want to become. Find the person that is just a few steps ahead of you, that is more accessible, and whose advice is directly relevant to what you are trying to learn and work on today. Demonstrate to them that you are a person who will take that insight and that advice that they give you and turn it into action, turn it into transformation, and help them complete their fulfillment loop. That as a mentor, they are seeing the effect of their words and their time in the form of your transformation. And make sure you tell them how you have taken action from their advice and how it has absolutely changed your life. And then lastly, and maybe most importantly, just ask. I think you would be shocked by the number of people who truly want to and are willing to volunteer their time to mentor somebody in a significant and meaningful way. And we lose access to all of those opportunities when we fail to simply ask. That relationship with Layla changed everything about how I think, how I lead, how I scale businesses. If you want to know the exact lessons that I learned from her and the exact frameworks that she uses to grow and scale hundreds of businesses, you can check that out in this video right here. I will see you over there. And Layla, if you're watching this, I am so unbelievably grateful to you.